Hello and welcome back to Rainbow Magician. My name is Mary. I have a bit of a cough, but thank you for joining me today. Today I have for you a spring book haul. So this is all of the books that I have purchased recently. Not all the books that I've read recently. I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video shortly after this, because I have read a lot more books that I just haven't purchased all of them, because a lot of them I got as ebooks or audiobooks through my library. But these are the books that I have actually purchased. And if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I might do a small little mini oracle reading with the new oracle deck that I bought. So stay tuned if you want to see that. But otherwise, I'm gonna try not to cough too much. I'm not sick anymore. I had a cold like last week, but I just suddenly can't stop coughing now that I'm filming this video. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about the books that I've purchased recently. The first one, I guess, one that I bought the longest amount of time ago, is this poetry book called When They Say You Can't Go Home Again, What They Mean Is You Were Never There, by Marty McConnell. So I actually bought this because I saw one of these poems on Tumblr and I read it and I was like, I need to buy that book right now. Like, I don't know, sometimes you just read things and they just like, they like hit you so hard. It's like a part of me was like, did I write that? Because I feel so like in line with like how I'm feeling, that it's like, I wish I had written that, you know? So then I immediately searched this book up, had to order it from like Southern Indiana University or something. Like, it was like a not a normal like corporate publisher, but it's totally worth it. I've read through most of it already. I only have a few pages left, but I mean, I've kind of skipped around a little bit also because like poetry, you don't have to read it in order. But like, highly recommend. There's a lot of poems kind of centered around like the end of the world as like a theme. Like apocalypse is a big theme in her poems, which is kind of relevant, I feel like. And they're very deep, but it doesn't sound like they're trying to be deep, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels very like natural. I kind of want to read one. Hopefully that's like allowed. I don't know if I'm allowed to read poetry like on YouTube, like, but we're gonna do it. I'll try to find a shorter one. Ooh, here's a fun one. Okay, this one's not that short, but it features tarot cards in it, so I think my followers would like it. Okay, it's called The Sacrament of Penance. Also has 4 parts. 1. Everything is burning and needs to. The news is not new, but terrible. I pull 4 cards for the fate of the world. The Tower, the Hermit, 8 of Cups, 9 of Rods. This country is not the world, but it is. Structure fire, light into the darkness. Walk away from comfort into the unknown. Choose one magic and use it. 2. A brief text about the end of the world. We're it. 3. The Tower. The fate of the building, the fate of the people below them waiting to catch or kill or be fallen upon like fruit by flies or a boot. But wait, who is falling? Who is fallen upon? Who is the fire? Who the fired upon? Who in the penthouse drinking something cool, counting minutes until pale angels come to save him again? 4. The hermit. Look within, genius. Any fire worth its tinder begins at the navel. In many ways, nothing has changed. We could enter the self and never leave. We could enter the leaves, burning, and never self. Nature isn't the enemy, not even human nature. The enemy is the friend of someone who fears you enough to kill you, fears you more than regret or the inevitable loss of his inborn humanness. That person too is the enemy, but fear more his friend. Look within, genius. Whose friend? Whose enemy? The only thing that makes that lantern useful is fire. 5. Sometimes the dream of apocalypse is a cop-out. 6. The hermit. You can leave the body, but it won't leave you. You can leave a country, but the country hits back. You can grip a city so tight all the bullets fall out, but then you wake up. You can dream the apocalypse in running trains and dark noons, but the news is still the news, and you are still you. What are you going to do with that body now? 7. Apocalypse would be a good excuse for this paralysis. I'm always late for the protest, and by late I mean I don't make it. Really good at vigils, though. Practiced at holding still, holding signs, diffusing the urge to weep. 8. Get it? Cop-out? Cop-a-feel, cop-a-plea, etc. White paralysis is a cop-out. Typing love and light is a cop-out. Staying quiet when the dude at the bar goes on about how nobody better tell him what words he gets to use, the N-word among them, says it and says it, is a cop-out. How badly I want to apologize to all my black friends is a cop-out. But I'm sorry. I am sorry. 9. 8 of Cups. For anything new to emerge, something's got to burn. But here it's all water and walking away. All are beautiful things on fire or underwater. Pick a cup and swim in it until it tips or you drown. Pick a cup and drink from it until sunflowers draw their petals back to reveal just the dark center, which is like that shadow on my grandmother's tongue, where she thinks about our black president lives. Where what she thinks about our black president lives. Pick a cup and sink. Pick a cup, a good one, gold or engraved, and leave it by the side of the road under the overpass where people go to sleep and I lock the doors as I drive by. 10. 9 of Rods. Thunder has no hands. Do you understand? If the nature of the rod is a weapon, and the pacifist song is strangled by a plastic jailhouse trash bag, and the man in the penthouse sips whiskey from a snifter of exotic ice, if the nature of sunflowers is to reveal and go to seed, but the 4-handed girl with 8 faces knows me, knows my spiny fruit heart, for what will I place the pale angel who loves me in the middle of the road? For whom cut off her wings, of them make what shade? 4 cards in the dark, tinder for a world awaiting its purifying burn. So I know I said I was going to choose a short one, and that one was not short at all. But very good. Anyway, highly recommend. Like I said, I've read through most of it already, but this is not a wrap-up, this is just a haul, so let's get into the other books. Okay, so I think the book that I purchased after that was Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. So this one was one that I kind of wanted to read, like, without having to buy it. Like, I just wanted to get the ebook or the audiobook, but I think there was like a wait for me to order it from my library, so I was kind of impatient, and I was going on a trip with my family, and I wanted to take a physical book with me, so I just bought it. And I've gotten like I don't know, like 88 pages in. And I don't really feel that much motivation to keep reading it. I don't know why. But I'll tell you what it's about. I'll just read the synopsis. It says, with her newly completed PhD in astronomy in hand, Grace Porter goes on a girls' trip to Vegas to celebrate. She's a straight A, hardworking high achiever. She's not the kind of person who goes to Vegas and gets drunkenly married to a woman whose name she doesn't know, until she does exactly that. This one beautiful, spontaneous moment upends Grace's carefully laid life plans. Staggering under the weight of her parents' expectations, a struggling job market, and feelings of burnout, Grace flees her home in Portland for a summer in New York with a wife she barely knows. In New York, she's able to ignore all the constant questions about her future and falls hard for her creative and gorgeous wife, Yuki Yamamoto. But when reality comes crashing in, Grace must face what she's been running from all along, the fears that make us human and the need for connection, especially when navigating the messiness of adulthood. So this sounds like it's right up my alley, right? Like, especially because I just graduated college and I kind of don't know what I'm doing with my life, so I feel like I'm on the same page. But I don't know, like the beginning, I will say it has a very interesting writing style. It's very like lyrical and poetic, but it's almost like I feel like too romantic in like the writing style. I'm not saying like romantic in like the context of the story, but just like the writing style is so like flowery and like pretty that it kind of like makes it hard for me to actually get into the story, if that makes sense. And I also just, I don't know, I just haven't really felt that into it yet, but I'm gonna keep reading, hopefully, because I do want to finish it. So I'll let you know my thoughts once I finish it. But Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. I really wish my body would just shut the fuck up. Okay. I'm gonna try drinking some water. Okay, next book I bought, I have already read. Oh my god, okay, and that is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater. Dude, I cannot tell you what this book did to me. I'll probably be filming like a review just of this book. Hopefully, I meant to do that like after I finished it, but I was too emotionally like affected by it that I didn't even feel like I could like give a review, because I feel like I would have just been like crying or just like having an existential crisis, because this book gave me an existential crisis. This book like it gave me an existential crisis I already had, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of like accentuated the crises that I have already been having. But dude, like it was really good. Okay, I'll just say that. I'll save my thoughts for my wrap up that I'm gonna film. But if you haven't read this series, please read it. This is the second book in the Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the spin-off to the Raven Cycle trilogy, or not trilogy, that's like a 4-book series. So you can read this series without reading that series, but I would recommend reading that series first because it's really good. And because you get to know the characters, some of the characters that are in this series, a lot better. I feel like if you just started with this series, you would still get to know them, but like you wouldn't have like all of their backstory, and so it wouldn't be like as impactful, I feel like. So I would recommend reading that series first, although I do think this one is like 10 times better. Not that I thought the Raven Cycle was bad, it was actually like one of my favorite young adult series, if not my favorite, but then I read this and I was like, never mind, this is so much better. This doesn't even feel like young adult, honestly. Like it feels older, it feels very mature. Like, I mean, it has this like, you know, that same young adult kind of like vibe, I guess. Like it's not like hard to read or get into. It has that like immediacy kind of to it, and the characters, you know, are young enough that there's like, you know, kind of some humor and banter going on, but I feel like most of them in this book are like in their 20s, so it's, I don't even know why it's classified as young adult, honestly, because I feel like it's like should be new adult technically. But anyway, highly recommend. I'll be talking a lot more about this, so make sure you're subscribed so you see that review if and when I ever film it. Okay, Okay, the next books I think I bought, I think it was probably these. I bought all at once when I went to my local used bookstore. So the first is this book called We Are the Animals by Justin Torres. I'm reading this right now. I absolutely love it. I'm like about halfway through, I guess. It's a pretty short read, but this is like beautifully written. I actually realized that I read one of these chapters like as an assignment for my creative writing class that I took last semester. I didn't even realize until I read that chapter. I was like, wait, I've read this before, because it was like one of our assigned readings for that class that I took. So that was cool, because each chapter honestly kind of feels like its own story. It's really interesting. It's told in like first person plural, so it's told with like we. It's about it's about these three brothers, so it's told from the perspective of one of the brothers, but he's telling stories about all of them, and he uses like we as the main pronoun. I mean, sometimes he'll say I, but most of the time it's like we did this and we did that, and you know, it sounds like it would be weird to read, but it's not for some reason. Like, it just really works. Like, here, I'll just read you the first paragraph just so you understand like how it's written. We wanted more. We knocked the butt ends of our forks against the table, tapped our spoons against our empty bowls. We were hungry. We wanted more volume, more riots. We turned up the knob on the TV until our ears ached with the shouts of angry men. We wanted more music on the radio. We wanted beats. We wanted rock. We wanted muscles on our skinny arms. We had bird bones, hollow and light, and we wanted more density, more weight. We were 6 snatching hands, 6 stomping feet. We were brothers, boys, 3 little kings locked in a feud for more. So, like, that's pretty much how the whole thing is written. So it's very creatively written, very, like, poetic. And, like I said, each chapter kind of feels like its own little story. Like, they're kind of like little, I don't know what the word is, but little... There's a word for it. I don't know. Like a little mini story of someone's life. I can't think of it, but each chapter is like its own little story, but it's all kind of connected to the main themes of like these boys growing up, like kind of that coming of age, I guess, of like going from boyhood into adulthood. So it's more so just kind of like a character study, I guess, but like a family character study, if that makes sense. Like the family itself is kind of the character. The boys themselves are kind of like one character. So very interesting. Highly recommend, even though I haven't finished, but I will give more thoughts again once I finish and I do my wrap up for whenever that will be. But next book that I bought at my used bookstore is a poetry book that I randomly picked up, called Somewhere in Advance of Nowhere by Jane Cortez. I have not started reading this, but I just wanted a poetry book and I just found this one and thought it was kind of dope. Let me see, maybe I can find one to read just to see if you are curious and you want to know if this is one that you want to read. Okay, here's a shorter one called Shut Off the System. They're pulling human pieces of flesh from nervous rectum of a black filly flame of hope. Sue the city, the county, the state of bourgeois fear. Don't give us the classical story of classical excuses from Mr. Classical. Drop the bomb on the house good, no good. Cancel the classes, slash the certificates, seal up rooftop to the planet. Interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted a random I've been wanting to read more poetry. I don't know, like, anything about, like, like, what's hot in the poetry world. Like, I don't really follow, like, poetry releases or anything, so this is, like, an old book. I don't know when this was published. And I've never heard of it before. This is 1988, so, like I said, I have no idea if Jane Cortez is well known or not. I literally just picked this up randomly. Here, I'll read another one just for the hell of it. This is 1988, Now What? So we get high, pick teeth, wiggle tongues, now what? I gave up my Blue Cross Blue Shield certificate of health when one of the most active urine drinkers in the West became president. Now what? Dehorn a rhino so somebody's dick can get hard. Burn the planet up in space so somebody can have an orgasm. Brilliant, great, toxic waste. Now what? My ass blew up last night. My breath stinks. And I'm here trying to make the best of it. Now what? Are we out of control in this extinction time? Me, you, and the elephant. Now what? What now? So the reason I stumbled a little when reading that is because it is written in this interesting format here, which I do like when poems have these kind of interesting layout. But yeah, like I said, this is kind of a random purchase. So I'll let you know how I feel about it once I finish it. But the next book that I bought is actually a book on poetry, I think, by Mary Oliver, and the cover is really messed up, but it's called Rules for the Dance. And I do really love Mary Oliver as a poet. I am familiar with her work. I have one of her books. So I saw this and thought it would be interesting. It's literally just her commentary on the art of poetry, I think. So I'm excited to look through this and get inspired to do some writing, and learn more about the art of poetry, because even though I do write a lot of poetry, I don't really know much about it technically. I don't really know, like, the rules of it. If there are, I mean anyone can, I don't know if there are, like, rules, you know, but, like, I don't really know anything about the different types of craft that go into poetry, so I'm excited to read this and learn about that. Okay, next book I got was a pre-order, and that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I am so excited for this book. If you watched my last book wrap-up I did, you will know that I am obsessed now with Casey McQuiston, because she wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which kind of kickstarted my whole resurgence of reading obsession. So I have her to thank for me even buying all the rest of these books, really. So, you know, maybe I shouldn't, you know, not like her so much, because she is now making me spend a lot of money, but that's okay, I don't mind. But I'm very excited for this. This is new adult, just like Red, White, and Royal Blue was. That's a really hard title to say. New adult, female romance, so I'm already on board. I think this is like, has some kind of magical realism where it's like, they meet on like a train, and like one of them is like from the 1970s, I think, or something. Yeah, okay, yeah. August, so August is the main girl. I think that must be August. I haven't read this yet. August subway crush becomes the best part of her day, but pretty soon she discovers there's one big problem. Jane doesn't just look like an old school punk rocker. She's literally displaced in time from the 1970s, and August is going to have to use everything she tried to leave in her own past to help Jane. So I'm assuming that's Jane, and that's August. So this will be a fun read. I'm really excited. I know it's gonna like give me so much serotonin, so I'm kind of saving it, for like when I need it. I also don't want to be reading other books when I'm reading this, because I know once I start reading this, I'm not gonna want to stop. So I'm trying to like get through all these other books that I'm reading before I start this. But I am very excited. Okay. The next book that I have in this haul might seem kind of random. This was also at my used bookstore, but I bought it a different time than I bought the other books. I bought this the other day, and that is this giant encyclopedia of ancient Greece. So you might be wondering, Mary, why the hell did you buy a giant encyclopedia of ancient Greece? Well, first of all, it was only $10, so it was a pretty good deal. Second of all, I have recently been inspired. A couple months ago, I got the inspiration to start working on a novel that will partly take place in ancient Greece and have a little bit of Greek mythology in it. So, no, with that inspiration, I realized that I needed to do some studying, because I don't really know anything about ancient Greece besides like the mythology a little bit. I'm pretty, I think, probably moderately well versed in the mythology of ancient Greece, but I don't really know what life was like in that time. So I figured this would be a good reference for me once I start needing to do that research for this book that I am trying to write. And I don't really have any other updates for you on this book that I'm writing, because I haven't really gotten that far into it. I started it like a couple months ago, like really planning it, and like got really into it, but then like I had to like focus on school, and then I graduated, and then I like lost inspiration, and now I'm like trying to figure out how to get it back. So it's like still in its very incubation stage. I don't even know if what I'm gonna do with it. I might end up changing my whole idea somewhat, so I don't know, but this is just, I figured, would be a good reference. Even if I don't end up using it for my novel, I will still be using it just for the fun of it, because I am really interested in the history of ancient Greece, so this will be fun. Fun coffee table book, if nothing else, but I probably will actually be, looking at it, reading it. And like I said, $10 at my used bookstore, so not a bad deal for a giant, hefty, this could be like a textbook, like it is, it's heavy, so. Next two books I bought yesterday, and I spent way too much money on them because I bought them. Jesus, can you stop coughing? I bought them at Barnes & Noble, and apparently books are getting more expensive nowadays, because this was $28 and this was $17 for a paperback. Like, hello? But anyway, I bought this book, which is very sturdy hardback, called We Play Ourselves by Jen Silverman. So I'm not gonna lie. The main reason why I bought this book and this book, which I'll talk about in a second, is because of the covers. I was so attracted to this cover and to this cover. You see both of them, like, I love the aesthetic of this so much. And I had actually heard of this book, like I saw some reviews of it, And I did actually read the synopsis of this and thought that it was really interesting. So I'll just read this little mini synopsis here. It says, after a humiliating scandal, a young writer flees to the West Coast where she is drawn to the morally ambiguous orbit of a charismatic filmmaker and the teenage girls who are her next subjects. So this seems really interesting. I guess I'll read the rest of the synopsis just because I don't really know what else to say about it. But it says, not too long ago, Cass was a promising young playwright in New York, hailed as a fierce new voice, and queer, feminist, and ready to spill the tea. But at the height of this attention, Cass finds herself at the center of a searing public shaming and flees to Los Angeles to escape and reinvent herself. There she meets her next-door neighbor Caroline, a magnetic filmmaker on the rise, as well as the pack of teenage girls who hang around her house. They are the subject of Caroline's next semi-documentary movie, which follows the girls' clandestine after-school activity, a fight club inspired by the violent classic. As Cass is drawn into the film's orbit, she is awed by Caroline's drive and confidence, but over time she becomes troubled by how deeply Caroline is manipulating the teens in the name of art, especially as the consequences become increasingly disturbing. With her past proving hard to shake and her future one she's no longer sure she wants, Cass is forced to reckon with her own ambitions and confront what she has come to believe about the steep price of success. So, very interesting. I'm excited to read this, and I just fucking love this cover so much. Like, I want to frame it. I think it's so pretty. I think the title is really interesting, so I'm excited to read this. We'll see how it goes. I like that it's queer, I believe. I think it said that, yeah. So, yeah. Good read for this month, hopefully. And then the last book that I bought yesterday. I don't have a good reason for why I bought, besides the fact that I just fell in love with the cover. Which is not really the best reason to buy a book, but it happens. I'm a visual creature, I guess. Anyway, this is called Where the Line Bleeds by Jasmine Ward. I just love this cover. I don't know, like, it's so pretty. Like, again, I just want to, like, frame this. But okay, I'll read the synopsis. Like I said, I've read the synopsis, but, like, I still don't really know what this is about. I just know that it's really pretty. But, okay, it says, Joshua and Christoph are twins raised by their blind grandmother in rural Bois Sauvage, I don't know how you say that, on Mississippi's Gulf Coast. Over the course of a single life-changing summer, as they struggle to find work and contend with the reappearance of their parents, Silly, who, I don't know how you say that, I think that's Seeley, who left town for a better job, and Sandman, a dangerous addict, the brothers are forced into a series of decisions that will ultimately damn or save them both. A delicate and closely observed portrait of the fraternal love and strife and the bonds that can sustain or torment us, Where the Line Bleeds, marks the beginning of Jasmine Ward's extraordinary career in fiction. Cool. So, this is a story about two brothers, I'm taking it. It's like a family drama kind of thing. So, we'll see. I just love the cover of this book. It's like a good thickness. I don't know. It's just like a very satisfying book to hold. The print is really small, I feel like. Like, I feel like this is like smaller than normal print. You know what I mean? Like, it's compared to like Honey Girl. Let's see, does this look smaller? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I think this print is bigger. But anyway, we'll see. I will hopefully read this sometime soon. It might be one of those books that I just have on my shelf for like years before I pick up. I don't know, but it's very pretty, so, you know, what can I say? Alright, and now, lastly, if you haven't made it to the end of this video, I'll be showing you these oracle cards that I bought yesterday as well. This is called the Archeo by Nick Bantock. So, really cool. I really just wanted a new oracle deck, and I thought this art style was really dope. I'll show you some of the cards. So this is what the backs of them look like. And then this is the art style. Let's see. So really cool, I think. Dropping all of them, but I just thought the art was really cool. I like that one. And I like that they are archetype themed, because I've been wanting a deck that kind of has archetypes like this, and these are kind of very influenced by Carl Jung's theories, I believe. So that's cool. Trickster. So yeah, I thought I would do a little mini oracle reading for any of you who stayed until the end of this video. So I'll just draw like 3 cards. These are very big also, like they're kind of awkward to hold. Like I can't really hold them all in one hand, so they're like hard to shuffle. Maybe I have to shuffle them like vertical. It's a little bit easier. But I'll just set the intention to pull 3 cards for the viewers of this video and myself for what we need to know today, what can help us right now. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, the first one that came out is Sage. So you can see, it's like a little monkey kind of figure. He looks like a monkey to me. Maybe he's a person. Kind of weird looking. You see, I'm looking at this little guy down here. It kind of looks like he has a leg that's like touching his head. It's very weird. And then we have this figure who kind of looks like a goddess of some sort. Interesting. So I'm gonna read what it says, because I'm not familiar with these cards yet. So it says Sage Attribute. The sage sits quietly by your side, reminding you to stay centered. His wisdom, is it a he? I thought this was like a goddess. Anyway, his wisdom has come down through the ages, and his counsel is balanced and reliable. He has no material agenda, and unlike those priests who cloak themselves in worldly wealth, he requires no supplication, nor does he demand an adherence to a tablet of commandments. He sees no reason to regret or blame. Persona. Human kindness needs no stick or carrot. It simply requires us to understand that we are bound together in a single unity. He is Solomon in Siddhartha, imploring us to ground ourselves and listen to our core's steady pulse. He is the soul of intelligence and insight, teaching us to trust our deeper intuitive senses and make right choices based on grounded consciousness. He reminds us that it's okay to pause when faced with a choice. When you do not have enough information to act, that not knowing is a place of poise that shows maturity, not weakness. Wisdom is hard fought for, and the sage did not come to his elevated awareness by accident. His path was long and lonely, and his journey required great discipline, but in time it gifted him the powers of great compassion and empathy. He needs little and lives in meditative simplicity. Okay. Interesting. Sage, so it kind of reminds me of of like the High Priestess card a little bit. That kind of like inner wisdom and centeredness. The next card we have is Midwife. Very interesting. See those little baby fetus there. Okay. Let's see. Midwife. Attribute. The midwife draws from a deep font of female knowledge. She is a facilitator, the mother to your muse, and an advisor to your craft. She will help you develop the lucidity of your language, give rhythm to your music, and breathe vibrancy into your painting. With her guidance, your works will be filled with vitality, but without her, your attempts at creation will be as dead as clay golems. Persona. With supple fingers and a firm grip on practicality, she tends us, offering experience and insight. The midwife blows gently on the sparks of our ideas, encouraging us to carry concept to fruition. She welcomes our births and our struggle to breathe. She feeds our never-ending hunger for truth, and she wraps us in consolation when our finest dreams collapse. There's more. Her knife cuts the umbilical cord that sets in motion our coil-sprung carbon and calcium hearts. She has helped launch 1 million creations. She has fed the hungry artists and held the hand of the mothers and fathers. The midwife brings an old knowledge to the table. Her wisdom travels back through all history, and her gift is one of understanding. She will help you separate cliché from originality, significance from sentiment, and passion from hedonism. She is the good mother, wise and calm in times of danger. She carries in her chest the seeds of beauty, vitality, and life. Awesome. So, both of these are kind of like guidance figures, although the sage is kind of like just like trusting internal wisdom, right? Like trusting like yourself at your most centered level without all the adornments, without, you know, like not seeking advice from like someone who's like full of themselves, you know what I mean? But it's like really just seeking that groundedness, that centeredness, and wisdom from people and situations that, you know, don't require you to do anything to like earn the wisdom, if that makes sense. Like just trusting what you already know within you and finding sources that are trustworthy because they're not like trying to sell you anything, you know what I mean? It's like finding that authenticity, I guess, to guide you. Like there's no alternate agenda, you know what I mean? And then like the midwife is like all about that guidance for creation. So if there's things that you've been in the process of creating like I was just talking about me with my novel, right? The midwife is an archetype that can guide you towards inspiration, right? And she's like very motherly, kind of non-judgmental, but she will help nurture your ideas, imbue them with your own authenticity and originality, and you know, again, like finding that kind of safe place to put them, like safety is coming out for me with this like little baby that's kind of like in this, well, he's like on her cloak here, but it's kind of like a womb that it looks like he's in. So, you know, letting your ideas be nurtured and keeping them safe, keeping your inspiration going, right? And surrounding yourself with people who are like no bullshit, you know, like you just really are looking for that kind of authenticity with this sage and with the midwife. It's like, stay true to your authenticity. If you're seeking out guidance, don't seek out guidance from someone, you know, who's making all kinds of claims and promises and who acts like they're like, you know, like the savior of the world, you know, like, not that like people can't think highly of themselves, but if someone is like trying hard to prove to you that like what they're saying is correct, then like you probably shouldn't trust them, you know what I mean? But like if they're just kind of presenting it and just like comfortable in themselves, like you can tell when someone is like trying hard to like prove their worth to you versus when they're just like comfortable in themselves and they're just like offering you something and it's up to you whether or not you take it, you know? So like that's the kind of people and energies you want to gravitate towards. And then the last card we have is Reflector, which is a very kind of intense image here. So I will read that one. Reflector attribute. The reflector mirrors you back without distortion, artifice, or bias, showing you as you really are, both inside and out. If you can acknowledge that truth without flinching, then you will have moved a long way towards self-acceptance. Without the reflector's honesty, you will spend your time hiding behind the false armor of wishful thinking. Persona. We have struggled in abject loneliness, traveled on a snowbound mountainside, wrestling with the angel of no man's God, and we are exhausted from trying to hold our fragile self-image. How pointless our resistance when all we crave is truth. Damn, this is like deep as fuck. The reflector is devoid of artifice and deception. His integrity is flawless, and he offers us relief from the absurdity of false heroics. Neither kind nor cruel, he is our honest twin, stripping away the illusion that entraps us. When we face him, his steady gaze slips like mercury through our pupils, down past our organs, and into our central nervous system. From there, it searches out our soul's core. We try to cover our shame, but this stare ignores our prudish defenses. He has come to release us from the dreadful burden of pretense. And when we finally acknowledge that we have been unmasked, a deep laugh breaks free from our belly, releasing our fears into the gutter. Damn, I got chills reading that. That was good shit. So this is all about like staring the truth dead in the face, like really like radical self-acceptance, you know? Like this is what I'm talking about. Like with the Sage card, it's like finding this level of comfort with yourself or seeking out other people who have this level of comfort with themselves so that you can like look at these like parts of you that are like freaking out, you know what I mean? And you can, like, you know, just kind of offer those parts, like, some wisdom and guidance without, like, this judgmental quality to it, you know, like, this is someone who's very, like, centered and very just, like, you know, offering without, like needing you to take it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very different energy than someone who's like, you know, please buy my services because I really need the money, or like, please, like, you know, there's something wrong with you and I really need to fix you. Like, there's not that, like, urgency to it. It's very, like, relaxed, like, hey, you look like you need help, here's this, you can take it if you want, if not, that's okay. So it's kind of embodying that energy of, like embodying that energy with yourself, for, like, the parts of yourself that are, like, really anxious and really, like, riled up. It's like, okay, like, I see that this is what you're going through, you know, this is what you want, this is what you're struggling with. Well, here's what you can do, you know. It's just, like, kind of objectively presenting the options so that you can, like, make a decision rationally, without all of that, like, intense, like, kind of desperation, you know what I mean? Like, it's very much just like, well, you could do this or you could do this, and that's up to you, and I'm gonna still be here regardless, so if it doesn't work, come back, you know. Like, it's just a very open, accepting kind of energy. And then with the midwife, really taking the time to nurture your ideas and your creativity, and, like, really, like, with these cards all together, it's like making sure that whatever you're creating is as authentic as possible. So if you're, like, in the middle of trying to create some creative project, use myself as an example, trying to write a novel, right? I want to make sure that I am, like, not holding back from the, like, raw, honest truth of myself that I'm trying to explore through this creation, right? Because I believe that anything that we create, we're creating to explore some part of ourselves. At least I know that's true for me. So whatever part of myself I'm trying to explore through my creations, I want to make sure that I'm not holding back, right? I'm not like trying to paint it in a flattering light, because I'm afraid to look at it, you know. Like, you can paint it in any light you want to paint it in, but you have to be willing to see what it actually is, you know. Any choice that you make creatively has to come from a place of integrity, that, like, okay, I see what this actually is, this is what I'm going to do with it, how I'm going to present it. And it's an intentional choice, not like a subconscious, like, oh, I can't admit this truth, so I have to find a way around it type of thing. Like, okay, well, I do know what this truth is, so I'm gonna, you know, have that in mind and still choose to express it in this creative way, whatever that is. So, very intense stuff here. Cool, so I'm gonna end this video here because it's already quite long, but please like and subscribe if you liked this. Again, I will be doing a spring reading wrap-up video very soon. Not all of the books that I've mentioned on here will be on there because some of them I haven't read yet and I don't know when I'll read, but all the books that I've read in the month of, like, May and I guess April. I don't even know if I read much in April, but for, like, the past 2 months and a half-ish since the last video I filmed, I'll be doing a wrap-up for all of those. So if you're interested, please keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Have a good day.